So I decided to go for a walk, which is the only sensible thing for me to do late at night when I can't sleep. At first, the city blocks were all familiar. Even in the dark, there is no place I can go that I haven't visited many times before. This was true until the streets melted into savage desert wasteland. By the shadow of the cactus, I stumbled beneath the angry brow of the rising sun, tracing a path to delirium. I passed places with names like Zin and Zoth, names I recognized without knowing how. But all I met besides thorn bushes and varieties of cactus were the skeletons of rattlesnakes. Sorrow I was carrying. It made me stumble on the rock-strewn ground. I cried out. Was there any end to this relentless heat? In an instant, I was walking on the rings of Saturn. Saturn floats in outer space, so I was cold. However, I was also weightless. The glowing brick of sorrow on my shoulders teetered and rose from me by 1 inch. Unfortunately, the rings of Saturn tilt a little to the left, so I lost my balance. The rings are made of asteroidal debris, little puffs of ancient space dust. There's not much to hold on to, so I really slid. When my momentum stopped, I learned why Saturn's rings are tilted. They're tilted for a very solid, stable, very scientifically verifiable reason. A giant is sitting on them. When the giant broke my fall, a piece of parchment drifted into my hand. On it was a poem. This is what I read. The cerebral toxin, there is only one, sits upon Saturn's rings quite alone and mourns through soundless, airless, frozen wastes and deep. A whale-like homage does he make that can't be heard, but its vibrations felt in human souls create a longing there for something infinite. Cerebral toxin is a beast with curling horns obsidian, a mangy beard that rolling down his chest absorbs those tears he sheds for whatever is upsetting him. His eyes a broken beer bottle shining mid the stars. A moment lives he, no more longer. The rest of us live hours. He really is immortal though, preserved from time by finity, non-existent to our mortal eye, and only met in dreams. I allowed the parchment to float out of my grasp. With this new information, I was not afraid of the giant beast, cerebral toxin, into whose rump I had collided. And when he fixed his blazing eyes on me, I knew just what to do. I handed him the massive floating brick of sorrow as he would toss a raw steak to a growling Rottweiler. When I gave it over to him, cerebral toxin swallowed it whole, gave a modest, I might even say polite, belch. Then he bowed his head and began to sing. Of course, I couldn't hear the sound of any of it because outer space is silent. But the rings began to tremble like harp strings. Tears fell from cerebral toxin's eyes over his beard, and these began to burst into frozen ice chunks. I was transported to a calm blue sea. The next moment, I woke in my own four-poster bed. I was warm and rested. It was daybreak. A hummingbird flitted by my open window, and my sorrows had been only dreams.